on Zoom, and now it is open. And here we go. Hello, hello. Jammy Jam number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8. Number 8.
I felt like I need to say it too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Number 8. Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Coming on in. Thanks for Zooming today with us.
Hi, Sarah Bell. Nice to see you. Sean Zielinski. Yes. Rebecca Jordan. Sarah Gorman. Sarah Gorman just applied for a class, and I just looked at her resume. Hello, Sarah Gorman.
Hi, Sarah.
All right.
Hi, Siri.
We're excited. So the weather, a lot of people were out today, but I'm glad that we are here.
Yeah.
I'm glad we decided to be here rather than take a week off.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And I thought it's not, I mean, Memorial Day, we're remembering, well, we're remembering those who gave their lives in service of their country.
Yeah.
And I think Labor Day is about unions. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think of it as the beginning and the end of the summer. So somehow it felt oddly appropriate that we were going to be talking about union things amongst other things today. Maybe.
Yeah. I think so.
Maybe that's.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're going under the idea of like, people who serve, unions definitely serve, not to take any light or thunder away from the people who lost their lives for the people who served our country in that way. But I can definitely see that connection.
Yeah, it makes it kind of seem like, hey, acting's not so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, comparatively?
Yeah. We got this, you guys. We can do this.
Well, I think, should we begin? It's 6:02. Are we ready?
Are you guys ready out there?
Are they ready? I think
they told me that they're ready. Oh, they're winking at me.
Well, hello, welcome everybody. I'm so glad that you are here on May 25th, 2020, Memorial Day. This is our 8th Jammy Jam during the pandemic. We are here and we are delighted to have you join us. And today we have once again the lovely Adria Dawn hosting. Thank you. And we have Charles Andrew Gardner returning. Charles is the president of SAG-AFTRA Chicago. Charles is a filmmaker. He was here a couple of weeks in that capacity. Charles is one of our awesome teaching artists at Acting Studio Chicago, and a wonderful actor. So I won't steal all the thunder and introductions from Adria Dawn. I just want to say thank you everybody for joining us. And I'm really excited for this episode to unfold.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Take it away. Should we, I'll pass the virtual mic to you and I'm going to go enjoy watching. Thank you both. And we'll talk later. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rachel. Hey, Charles, you're so familiar to me. I just don't know where from. This is, as Rachel said, Jammy Jam, number 8, content creation, the union, and you, my friends, you. And yes, Charles is with us again tonight. You might recognize him from Jammy Jam episode 6. He was on our indie film panel, and we're lucky to get him back again. He's an accomplished stage and screen actor, and he wears many hats really well. Also, he wears his baseball cap well tonight for us. He is a member of Timeline Theater. He's had roles on Chicago PD, The Chi, many commercials. He just booked a voiceover. He's a faculty member with Acting Studio Chicago, as well as a teaching artist at Timeline, Steppenwolf, and Goodman Theater. Charles also sits on the associate producer board at the Gene Siskel Theater and is vice president of Creative Cipher, to highlight a few of the things that Charles does. And guess what, you guys? We are shaking it up tonight. Can you handle it? I'm gonna blow your mind like right now, because here is our rundown. Number 1, we are all gonna watch Charles' movie, Long Ride Home, together. We're gonna share it on the screen and we're gonna watch it with you guys. It's 7 amazing minutes, so I hope you have your popcorn ready. Number 2, we're gonna talk about the movie and I'm gonna answer your questions that you might have about it, so please put those in the Q&A section, pretty please. Number 3, we're gonna then talk about content creation during COVID times, and we are gonna get schooled on the short project agreement and how this contract can help you guys, all you actors out there, union and non-union, stay creative while maintaining social distance. And then number 4, well, this is obvious, we're gonna have a lot of fun while we do all of this because that's how we roll on the Jammy Jams. And I still have a silly game at the end, okay? Does that sound good to you, Charles?
That sounds perfect to me.
Okay, so before we play the film, can you just maybe tell us what your involvement in the film was? What's your credits?
Yeah, so my credits, I'm all over this film. I wrote it, right? So I'm the writer for it. I was also along with my wife. She just ran into the room and she's like doing like this, Carmen. We executive produced it together. And then mainly I was the one of the ensemble cast in the film. But when you're producing your own content, you wear so many hats. Like we would get done filming and then we would rush home and we would like debrief, we would watch the dailies, and then we would like start prepping everything for the next day. Yeah. And everything for the next day would be me making breakfast for the crew and making our crafty for the crew and making lunch for the crew, getting about 2 hours of sleep and then getting back up and doing the exact same thing. So as many hats that need to be worn, that's the number of hats that I had to wear. Wow. I don't know if that grammar made sense.
No, it totally did. You wore a lot of hats. So having said that, we will share the screen with you guys now to watch it. And for those of you that are going to check out this talk later, there might be a gap, and that's because we're going to not record this section while we have the film on so that Charles can still get into a lot of film festivals and such. Okay, so here we go. Charles, what's the name of this again?
This is Long Ride Home.
Okay, here we go. Okay, we are back. Can you hear me, Charles? You want to mute? Oh, you can? Okay, great. Wow. Oh my God. I've seen this film before and I saw it again tonight. And you guys, that was so powerful. Really moving, Charles. So congrats on that. Yeah, you're welcome. Good job. So it's so emotionally impactful, and you guys put your questions in the Q&A there, and I'll answer some about the movie right now. But I'll start off with one of the things that I think really works in this film is the story structure. I think it's a really well-structured film in 7 minutes, and I think it's so important in filmmaking that it sometimes often gets overlooked is the structure and the writing of it. I also saw in the credits that you had script consultants help you as well. Can you talk about your process of the structure and the writing of it?
Yeah, so this is actually my first film and the first project that I've ever written. I don't necessarily consider myself to be a writer. So it was the process of putting this thing together was, a little bit of a long and slow road. Which is why having those script consultants was, it was really, really important to me. Just having filmmakers, and practice filmmakers around me, just saying like, okay, cool. This is the way a film is, typically structured. It all came to me honestly in a dream. These are some ideas that I had been tossing around in my head. The main concept for me of it is the Black duality and the Black experience, the Black experience in Chicago and around the world, and how different it can be, right? Because here's this one person who made it out and who is becoming a success from the same neighborhood as somebody who is still on his way of making it out, and how these two paths can be completely different, even if they put in the same things,
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to just explore that. So I had been exploring those types of ideas for a while.
Yeah.
And then literally I woke up one night from, from a dream and wrote the whole thing, which was, really cool. And I'm an actor, like you already know this. I'm a theater actor, and so I like structure for plays.
Yeah.
You read so many plays, you're just like, okay, cool. I think I understand the structure. I understand beginning, middle, end.
Yes.
As an artist, I really, really love ambiguity. I really, really love playing in the unknown, and leaving things up in the air. And so at the end of the film, it was really important for me. I mean, because we shot this in 2018, and I started writing it. Maybe we shot it in 2019. No, we shot it in 2000. We shot it in 2018, finished it in 2019, and now it's having its festival run. And so,
can I ask you a quick question in there?
Yeah.
Tommy K just wants to know how long it took you to shoot.
We shot for 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, we shot for 2 days, and I was a madman in structuring it. My wife, Carmen, shout out. This is a shameless plug. She graduates this Thursday. She's getting her master's in management from Harvard. So she donated her brain power as an executive director and made this happen. And so we just like structured it out in a way where we did all of the beginning scenes on one day, and then we rode around and got a bunch of car scenes. And then we did the rest of the pickup scenes for the car scenes, and then the block, that one take at the end on the second day. Yeah, it was cool.
So you're learning all the filmmaking and producing too, quickly shooting the same setups and then moving on. And yeah, cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I was going to ask you, what inspired you to write it? Because I was reading that you have a passion for telling the story of the underrepresented. And I can totally, you said it was a dream. That's cool. I can totally see that theme in this film, of course.
I think it was a dream that brought the words forward. Because the way that I write, or the way that I wrote this film, I stole from August Wilson in the way that he jots down things on napkins and notebook paper and whatever he can get his hands on until the voice of the character comes completely through. And when it does, he just gets it all out on paper and then worries about editing it. And so that's the way that I wrote it. And a lot of the inspiration came from then while we were shooting it, while we were in post-production, while it's now out of post-production and doing its festival run, that inspiration hasn't changed. One, right? It's Black bodies being killed. That's the main inspiration. And even though the Uber driver is killed first, we're left to wonder about what my character is going to face, right? Does he make it out, right? And something that was important to me was the ambiguity around, oh, well, he's an up-and-coming lawyer. Oh, or whatever you perceive his career to be, will he make it? And then what does that assumption say about us, about society, about,
And at the end of the day, you're still being that moment in the end when you're like, wait, here you are, a professional in your field, and that still is happening, that blame for no reason. So, wow. Another thing I wanted to touch on is the sound design of the film. And I was like, wow, this is like a really strong choice to have it so open in the beginning. But then I felt like it really mirrored your loneliness of you wanting your partner to come with you. And then I noticed too in the sound design, we had the music in the car, but not a lot of sound design and composing underneath the film at all. And I felt like that really worked because when the bullets came, they were really loud and really shocking. I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you came to sound design and composing.
Yeah, a lot of that actually came from the director, from Dane Pierre. Shout out again in episode 6. I gave him a shout out, let everybody know that we met each other at Trader Joe's.
You guys.
Yeah, look, you never know where you're gonna meet the director or the producers or the actors for your film. So always stay open, and never, think that just stay open, right? So anyway, when I met Dame, he was more of a documentary style filmmaker, and that's the reason that I was so drawn to his work.
Yeah.
And so when we were talking about composing the film and adding in music, he's so gung ho just about like, nope, only practical sound. Only practical sound. So if we're not in the car and we're not listening to the radio, then there can't be music, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So it goes along with visual storytelling as well, where I don't know if you noticed, but in the beginning of the film, up until we get out of the car at the end, everything is handheld. So there's a little bit more movement. There's a little bit more energy behind it. Kind of like an uncertainty. And then when we get out of the car at the end, we're actually shooting on a steady cam.
Yeah.
So as soon as we pull up to that house, actually, that's the block that I grew up on, by the way, not my house, but,
Wow.
a couple blocks down, a couple doors down.
Yeah.
When we get out the car at the end, and like from there to the end of the film, everything is a steady cam.
Yeah.
And that goes in line with that sound design, because I really wanted it to feel like that was normal, right? That was commonplace. If it was shaky, it would have felt it would have felt out of the norm. It would have felt out of control. It would have felt unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
But by kind of getting that placid feel of a steady cam and everything is smooth, it's just like, oh, well, this is commonplace.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, so in Black America, that people will be gunned down, and then people will be, held responsible for things that they have no hand in, when they were the people that were trying to help and rectify the situation.
And I really loved too the choice of having all of the policemen off camera, because it really put us into your perspective, and we felt even more for you on that last shot there too. So I really enjoyed that choice too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. A little movie making magic. There were no police officers. In fact, the way we did that last shot with a blue light, we had somebody with a boom pole or a light pole with a blue light on it one side, and he was literally just walking up towards me doing like this, and he didn't say anything, but I'm reacting to nothing and like watching him turn this little blue pole, trying to create a light. So make it happen, y'all. Don't.
Yeah. I love the color correction throughout the film. I feel like you had some really nice blue tones throughout. And so when that blue hit, I feel like it was, like those, the tones were sort of blue throughout in the car too, I felt. So I thought it worked well.
Shout out to P3 Media, and shout out to CRC Post Audio for P3 Media for the color correction and the editing. For the color correction, excuse me, and then CRC recording for the audio.
Great. I have one from Alyssa Fraden, who I think you know.
Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, hi, great film. If you had that dream during COVID, how would you have produced the short film? What could you do or not do? Oh yeah, we're getting there, Alyssa, with the COVID restrictions and guidelines. So yes, we are gonna tackle that next. I was gonna ask you, Charles, what contract did you use to make this movie?
Yeah, so this movie was I did the SPA agreement, the short project agreement, and it was super great. So I don't know if you all out here watching are actors, or if you are filmmakers. If you're filmmakers, you're probably already aware of the SPA agreement. If you're actors, you may be aware of it. If you have worked this contract for the past couple of years, but if not, let me just share it out. It came about in 2000.
Go ahead. Like, SPA is short project agreement, and this is a great segue into that. So go ahead, Pat. Sorry, Charles. Go ahead.
Oh, no apologies ever. So we came out in SAG-AFTRA in 2018 with this SPA agreement, and I think it's perfect for independent content creators, right? And also actors who want to take their careers into their own hands. I'm pretty notorious for my Instagram post and social media posts in general of saying hashtag not asking for permission.
Yes.
And the SPA agreement gives us the ability to do just that. It gives us, as SAG-AFTRA actors, the ability to create content without having to ask for a lot of permission. Now, granted, we still have to, do all of the appropriate paperwork with the union and, and make sure everything, all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. But we don't have to wait on studios. We don't have to wait on other directors and producers to create a film for us. We can create something, work with the SAG-AFTRA office here in Chicago or whatever local you're in to get it done, and then go out and shoot it.
So yeah, what I understand, it's a great flexible contract. Union and non-union can work on it. You don't need a lot of money. And speaking of money, the guideline is what, Patrick? The short project agreement applies to projects with a maximum budget of $50,000 and a maximum runtime of 40 minutes. This does not apply to episodic or animated projects. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about.
I think something else that's important to put in there, our overall shoot schedule can't be over 30 days. So like if you are shooting like something that's super complex, that takes a super long time to write, maybe to shoot, maybe this isn't the best contract for you to use. Great.
And then under the short project agreement, who's covered? How much do they get paid, Charles?
It's a completely flexible contract. Everything is negotiable, right? Which basically means that as actors, if you're working with a buddy that doesn't have any type of a budget, right? Like somebody owns their camera and then you're just like, I really, really believe in this project. It's some important art that needs to be said right now. Then as SAG-AFTRA actors, then that's something that you all should bring up to those people, right? Because if you don't, it's going to be non-union. But you can bring this up and say, hey, even if you don't have money to pay me right now, let's still make this thing. Let's still make our art, which is why I think the SPA agreement is so important right now in these COVID times.
Yeah.
Because with the industry being lulled and kind of shut down right now, this is a way for us to still create content while still being union members. And I've been saying union members a bunch. It's even great for non-union members.
It is. Both.
Because then you can use this contract in a way where if you wanted to open it up and possibly hire SAG-AFTRA members, this is a contract, and it's a mixed cast contract, which means you can have non-union and union members, actors on the same set without having to get any, union issues or Taft-Hartley issues. So it's great.
I was thinking too, so say you have a budget or say you have union actors that want some type of rate, and $125 like a day was standard before for a 12-hour day. And I think that most projects sort of still kind of adhere to that. Is that correct, Charles? But
Yep.
But just to be clear, this short project agreement is not the short film agreement. The short film agreement is retired, correct?
Yeah, the short film agreement is retired. And the reason being is because the short film agreement really, it ran into issues because it made filmmakers make a decision too early, right? The decision was, if you're going to have a festival run, then you go with that short film agreement. If you're going to have some type of Vimeo or online showing, then you need to use a different contract. And so this kind of just blends it all together and says, hey, get the project done and then decide later where you want it to go.
Got you.
Yeah.
I have a few questions from Scott Summit. Hello, Scott. So he asked specifically, what specific kinds of content or projects can be created under the SPA agreement? Is it video and audio, short film, web videos for sites like YouTube, audio podcasts?
I think that there's going to be some slight variation in there. So I would recommend working with the SAG-AFTRA office, emailing Kathy Byrne, and she's going to have all the best answers for that. Audio projects, there are different contracts that you would use. The SPA agreement is going to be for film projects that are either going to have a festival run, which basically means that you're going to submit it to festivals across the country and try to get those seen in like a brick and mortar theater. But it also covers like if you're going to post it online for like a YouTube or a Vimeo or any other online sharing. So think about the SPA agreement as anything that's going to be under $50,000, under 40 minutes, and also anything that can shoot in under 30 days or less.
Yeah, and I think the great thing, like I'm actually, well, pre-COVID, I had the SPA agreement for my project Gray Area, but it got postponed due to COVID. But I'm trying to remember about insurance. We had different locations that required us to get insurance, like Lakeshore and a building and all of that. But so we get insurance for that. But if you're shooting, say, in your own home, you don't need a permit, right? You can still use the SPA and shoot. You have flexible limitations on that, right? Or flexible ways to still use it and not have to spend big dollars. I'd still probably recommend insurance for your cast and crew. But yeah, that was one thing I was like, oh, we don't necessarily need this for this, you know, just places that require it.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, look, I cannot pretend to be an absolute expert on the contract, because as an actor and even as the president of the local, I understand and rely on the knowledge and expertise of our staff. I cannot stress enough how lucky we are in Chicagoland area to have Kathy Byrne with us. So if you have any questions about like contracts or the particulars within the SPA or any other agreement, even outside of, you know, when things return to normal and you're like, oh, is this okay? Is this the right thing? Call Kathy Byrne, email Kathy Byrne, because she's going to have an answer for you. And
also, you guys, if you go to sagaftra.org, the whole short project agreement is online. There's even an FAQ tab on the website, and it has all these questions and all the answers on there. It's a really beautiful website, and you can start to see, I think another question of Scott's was how to get started. And I would recommend going and reading all about the SPA agreement, or SPA. I like SPA better, it sounds nice. And just reading about what you have to fill out, because there is work to be done in pre-production, and you have to get papers in, I think 3 weeks ahead of time. But it's all kind of right there online. And then exactly as Charles said, you can reach out to a representative, and they're really friendly here at the Chicago branch. Well, yeah. Probably all branches really. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, there's a clause about background actors that I found like I wasn't sure about. Do you know about the SPA agreement with background players? Can you have non-union, oh, I know what I was gonna say. You have to still pay into pension and health when you do use actors, correct?
That pension and health payment is the exact same way with the negotiated rate. So if you defer that payment, then that goes with that.
Okay.
Yeah, but if not, then that does need to be paid as well.
Is that for union and non-union?
To my understanding, that's just for union.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm looking at the agreement here. It's several pages long, but I like to nerd out and look at all the different parts to it. Oh, there's a clause in it about getting real footage for actors, isn't there? Yeah. Okay. Upon request, producer will provide performers with clips from the project containing the performer's performance. I thought that was pretty cool, Charles, as an actor, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I say regardless of contract, regardless if you're union, non-union, always try to say, hey, what's up with the footage? Can I get my credit? Can I get my copy? But it's great that it's written into the contract that if the actor asks for it, then the producer has to produce it. So
you guys, that is awesome. Cause I mean, I'm sure you know too, as a teacher, Charles, it's like so many of these brilliant actors that come to train are like, I'm still waiting on footage and it's been years. And this sort of helps you get that. And again, you can just assure the directors, you know, it's a piece of the film. It's not the whole film. It's just your performance. So I think that that's a great clause in there.
Yeah.
What else we can talk about? Do you guys have any questions? Oh, Alyssa brought up a good point. So how is this good with COVID? And what are we seeing in terms of being safe on set with COVID and all that? What does SAG-AFTRA have to say about that? Or are they still working that out, Charles?
We're still working it out. You know, I think that it's going to take time. We're starting to see a lot of, a couple of cities and states, starting to reopen. But the union itself, SAG-AFTRA, hasn't settled in on one particular safe way for the entire industry to reopen. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the best, right? I think that all of us as actors and performers, we're like, I want to get back to work. I want to do this thing. But, if we don't have a safety net, if we don't have a way for all of us to return in a safe way, I think that we could be jumping the gun. So we're still working on that. There's a couple of different white papers, right, rolling around. If you're paying attention to the industry trades and newspapers, they've already been sharing things of ways that they can reopen. A couple of states have already shared ways that they're interested in reopening. But like I said, the union hasn't said, hey, this is a blanket statement of what we need for our actors to be able to return safely to set. So if you do, this is a side note, if you do get any auditions as SAG-AFTRA actors, please check in with the union and make sure that production has been covered and it has been cleared for you to work safely. And I think that as it pertains to the SPA agreement, I think that this is going to be a way forward, one of the ways forward, right? I think that production has a potential to be slow when it starts back up. And by us understanding the SPA agreement and knowing how to use it, once we get back to going and we can, we don't have to shelter in place, I think that it's going to be a really great way for us to take our creativity and our careers into our own hands and create content.
Great. All right, let me get to some of these questions here.
Yeah. I see a bunch of them. Whoa.
Yeah. Have you engaged that post-COVID discussion with the Illinois Film Office? Susanna S. asks.
Ask that question again.
She says, have you engaged that post-COVID discussion with the Illinois Film Office? Like, have you talked?
I personally haven't talked with the Illinois Film Office, but so just so you all know, we have something called the IPA, right? And that is not like, beer IPA. It is the Illinois Production Alliance, and it is comprised of individuals that have stake in the entertainment industry in Chicago. Our executive director, Eric Chadron, sits on that board, and they have been talking nonstop about how do we reopen Chicago and how do we make sure that not only our actors, but also, our crew can return safely. And we're not rushing this thing. We're not rushing and we're not putting anybody's life or health in danger. But we are like trying to find a way to move forward and get us all back to work. So yes, those talks are underway. Don't worry, it's going to be coming soon. And just know that when it does happen, you all will know right away.
Yeah. And also, thank you, Charles. That was great. I just watched on, Real Chicago put out a clip of Alex, I'm going to butcher his last name,
PCO.
PCO, and he was talking about what it might look like when CineSpace reopens. And I found it interesting, some of the COVID precautions that he was talking about. He was talking about a film that you can't really see when you're filming that might be between two people when they're close, you know, in an intimate scene or near each other. So they're, as Charles said, they're working on a ton of ways to keep everybody protected. And I know that Alyssa, who's on this chat right now, was just also, she has you guys, I think she handles the SAG-AFTRA Facebook group, and she has a ton of information that she posts on there all the time. So thank you for that. Yeah, so there's all sorts of information being passed around. I also I've been in the union since 1998, proud member, old member, and I just got an email from them saying, you know, with these commercials that we're all auditioning for, union, and putting ourselves on tape for, to, yeah, as Charles said, you know, reach out to your agents and let them know, like, if a commercial production wants you to film it, wants you to do makeup, wants you to provide all these things, because that's not what we're protected for. We're actors, so that there could be additional funds, or I don't know, but to let your agents know and be in contact with them about that as well, because the union wants to protect us that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to my questions. Let's see. Alyssa says, creatively, I'm curious how Charles would envision doing this film under the SBA. The story's 3 people, 3 locations, and minimal crew. Could this film be done today? She asks. Hard to say.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You know, I would say, you know, be careful, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say
Yeah.
be careful, be smart, be healthy, right? Because I think it could be done,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but you just got to ask yourself, what are the chances that somebody could be exposed, right?
Right.
From the simple thing of, like, I drive in to set and I get gas. Do I come in contact with somebody, right? So, you know, I would recommend that the things that we shoot right now, it stays contained, and we adhere to our local, our state guidelines around social distancing and self-quarantining, right? I was just talking with my wife a little bit earlier today, and I was like, oh, we should shoot something, because my neighbor, he has like this really dope car in the backyard. Like, it's like this I think it's like a 73 or maybe a 69 Monte Carlo, and it is just like one of the best cars I've seen in a while, and it's just sitting there, and I'm like, oh man, I just want to shoot a film. But it would be like Carmen, my wife, holding the camera, yeah, as I act, right? So I personally, I'm a little hesitant to do that, right? There's all of these guidelines that the studios that we're still trying to figure out with the studios, that have the money to supply PPE, right? As a filmmaker, great. If you have access to masks and sanitary, you know, sanitizer and all of that, then make it safe, right?
Right. I mean, they're talking about schools having to, you know, like Columbia College and different schools, and sets too, like having to have like ultraviolet lights and sanitizing, ways to sanitize all the gear, and, you know, how often, you know, hand washing all the time. So my slant on shooting a film with 3 locations is you've got to make sure each location is totally on lockdown and totally sanitized and all of that before you even would begin to do something like that.
Right.
Yeah, so I agree with Charles. This has got to be so safe. So that would to me interpret as hopefully a single, or, you know, all in one location and with few people and all of that for now, right?
For now.
Yeah.
For now. And I think that the thing that I'm so excited about, I mean, check out the school itself, right? acting studio has never offered, to my knowledge, an online class. But this happened and we transitioned all of our classes online. We came up with the Jam and Jams, right? And so there's constant innovation and constant movement forward, right? And so I think rely on that, lean into that, y'all, and just know that like the industry is finding innovative ways for us to return and return safely. Like I can't stress that enough, that as much as we want to return, we need to make sure that we return safely. And this is slightly different from the SPA agreement and from what we're talking about today, but find ways to be creative right now, right? And maybe that's going on the website and reading the SPA agreement and saying, okay, now I understand this. Let me start writing my script with that agreement in mind. Right.
And really read all the details.
Don't skip anything. Use this time as pre-production. It would be my recommendation.
Writing. It's a great time to write.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. I think all of this is really good, Charles.
Yes, it is.
Yay. Kelly G has a question. She wants to know if SAG will put limitations on productions on how much they'll ask of an actor to self-tape. If self-taping becomes the new normal, will an actor have to have better equipment, lenses, mics, etc.?
I don't know. We are currently in contract negotiations, and I can't say I'm not in that room. I don't know. But since and this is a thing. Look, I just got this Rode mic. As we are sheltered in place. Because as an actor, I want to make sure that I am most prepared for the opportunities that come my way, right?
Yes.
I think that's the career side of it, right? As actors, as performers, we need to be concerned with two areas. We need to be concerned with our craft and we need to be concerned with our careers. And y'all, don't think about this. Don't think about the necessity to self-tape as a problem. Don't think about it in that way. Think about this as an opportunity to say, okay, cool. I need to get a tripod.
Yep,
I need to be competitive. So what do you need in this time to be competitive? And don't think about it as a negative. It's not a negative. Right. What I can guarantee you, this is from my own opinion, right? That casting directors, after spending these couple of months in self-quarantine, it's not going to be the same. They're not going to bring in people on in the same way as they did before. I think that everybody is going to say, oh, cool. Well, I mean, we got some pretty good self-tapes, so let's keep doing that. So I would recommend figure out, like, that's what you do right now. You read the SPA agreement and you figure out your at-home self-tape situation, right? Make sure you got a good solid wall. Make sure you got good lighting. Make sure you got good sound. Make sure you got good camera. And one of the things that you can do to help with that, check out Adria's self-tape video, which is
geez. Yeah. Thank you. Well, yeah, it's, there's so many free, this is a whole love fest for ASC, but there's a bunch of videos on there for you guys to check out right now. So yeah, that could also be part of your free time routine. David Hamilton had a question for you. He wanted to know, what's your inspiration? Like any filmmakers you love?
I'm a big fan of Donald Glover right now. Danny. I never remember. Childish Gambino. I'm a huge fan of him. Just because hashtag not asking for permission. He literally, like, he's a vocal artist. He's an actor. He's a director. He's a producer. Like, he's doing all of these things and just like doing them 100%. So anybody who is just like getting it, yes, Guava Island, yes. Anybody who is just saying, I'm gonna create, Like it, great. Love it, even better. Don't love it, don't like it, I don't really care. I'm going to create this content and I want you to receive it, right? And so that's where I draw my inspiration from. I draw my inspiration also from all of these playwrights that are happening right now in Chicago and around the country, of people who are finding their voices and lending that voice to people who don't have a voice. That is just, I draw so much inspiration from that.
Awesome. Well, he's wonderful, Childish Gambino.
I saw somebody ask, what is Guava Island? Check it out. It's a music video type short film that he did. Rihanna's in it. It's pretty great.
You guys, I'm looking in the Q&A if you want something. I was just screening the chat just to make sure, but I have, okay, Sean and Kathy Zielinski. Sean's producer here, his mom, she says, my son started creating lots of films, but has been interested in working with his SAG friends. What are some ways my 13-year-old can raise money to create a short film and still adhere to SAG rules for paying actors? If a SAG friend wants to work on his project for free, does the SPA contract allow him to post his films publicly, assuming he's not making money on the film? You got to get the contract first, right? And then get the union actors in, right?
Yeah. So what's that last name?
Zielinski.
Hey, Sean Zielinski. Hey, Sean. Hey, so Sean's one of my prior students. I think
Awesome.
2 years, right, Sean? And Sean, man, create this content. And I would say, because I know how smart you are and I know how attentive you are, Sean, go in and read these contracts. Union members, yes, read the contracts. Non-union members, yes, read the contracts. So that way you know what guidelines you should be adhering to and what industry standard you should be shooting for. The SPA agreement is a negotiable rate for actors.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we take advantage and not pay our actors? No. Even though I use the SPA agreement and it's a negotiable rate, I paid everybody. I didn't pay myself as an actor, because I'm like, hey, look, if there's any extra money that needs to be put, I'm going to put it towards the film. But everybody else, the other two actors, I paid them. And even though they, I paid them. And so, Sean, I would say if you can raise $125 per day, do it. And if you can't, talk to the actors and say, what are you willing to work for? Are you willing to defer your payment? So that way, if it does, go out into the world and become a hit, then they will get paid. But the side note, so yes, to answer that question, the SPA agreement does allow you to work with SAG-AFTRA actors and for them to defer their pay, right? But I would say figure out a way to pay people.
Yes. And you can
Figure
always,
out a way to pay people.
yeah,
right?
you can
And
raise money. There's online, there's like, online
Yeah.
campaign sites that will help you put your film online to raise money, different platforms.
Here's what I'll say too, y'all. If you are a content creator and you're cutting your teeth with the SPA agreement and you're saying, this is what it means to work with SAG-AFTRA actors, great. I want to continue producing. I want to continue working with these contracts. You're never gonna, you're not gonna run into, unless you get lucky and win the lotto, you're never gonna have an endless supply of money, which means that as a content creator, as a producer, you're gonna constantly be trying to sell your idea and make it make sense, so much so that people are willing to give you money. So use this as an experiment. Use this as a way to say, hey, can I raise $125? Can I raise $500? Can I raise $1,000 so that way I can pay everybody? Cool. Now, when you do your next project, you can say, hey, I raised $1,000 for the budget of my film. Now I'm asking for $3,000. Here's the budget outline that I used for that film. This is how I'm gonna use that budget outline for if you give me money for this film. So really don't make a habit out of being like, well, I'm an artist and you should do it because it's art and we should all work for free. No, I don't. Look, that's why I joined SAG-AFTRA. I'm not interested in working for free.
Yeah.
Honestly. I'm
Like to
even
make
even
money.
even projects where people are like, we don't have a budget. I'm like, well, okay, cool. Can we raise money?
Yeah, yeah.
What can we do?
Okay. You guys, it might be time for game time. We got a little time for games.
I'm cool to extend because I know I like to talk a bunch. So if you got time, we can talk a little bit longer than 6.
I got a couple I just got a couple questions. Now, I know that I really enjoy being silly on here, and I hope you guys do too. So I just have a couple questions. This game is called Past Jobs. Are we ready? Okay. I'm going to say a few past jobs Charles might have had, and he has to tell us which one is true. Are you ready, Charles?
I hope.
Okay. Which statement is true? Number 1, Charles used to work at Chuck E. Cheese until he started having night terrors about the animatronic animals. Number 2, Charles used to work as a magical magician, blowing the minds of little kids' birthday parties. Number 3, Charles used to sell pretzels at Aunt Annie's in the mall until he had a mild stroke from clogging his arteries from too much cheese dipping sauce. You guys, which one is it? I can't hear what they're saying, but they're guessing. They're really thinking about it. Which one is true? Number 2?
Oh, we got a couple people thinking number 1. Number 2.
No, wasn't Chuck E. Cheese.
It was not Chuck E. Cheese. Although I have had a few nightmares about that animatronic. I think
Nope.
she's scared.
He used to work as a magician for kids' birthday parties. Yay!
Yeah.
Something you didn't know about, Charles. Okay,
Yeah.
one more. One
Okay.
more round and then we're done. Which statement is true? Past jobs, okay, you guys got this. I'm feeling it. Number 1, Charles used to scream, "Arg, matey," and walk the plank when he was a pirate on the tall ship Windy for a summer. Number 2, Charles used to be a phone canvasser where he had to convince people to donate money to him to stop the use of pesticides on cornfields in the Midwest. Ooh, that sounds fun. Number 3, Charles never actually had any jobs. People would just throw money at him because he's so awesome. Which one, you guys? Which one is it? This might be number 3, just like Charles.
Right? Give me your money. Yeah, I'll take number 3.
It's actually, friends, it's number 1. Charles really did used to scream "Arg, matey" and walk the plank when he was a pirate on tall ship Windy for the summer.
Yeah.
Is that fun?
It was probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. I love to sail, and so like every single day I was able to go out and be on the water and like look at the Chicago skyline and be bawdy. It was great. It was so great. So if you're looking for a good summer job to bring in money and bring in tips as an actor, go work for the tall ship Windy. Shameless plug.
It's going to come back. Everything's going to come back. Well, Charles, thank you so much for all of your knowledge tonight. As a filmmaker, as our president, we thank you for all that you do for Chicago. Thank you so much. And we're going to sign off right now. Thank you guys. And thank you, Rachel Patterson, for all the jobs you give to the acting community at Acting Studio Chicago. And all of you out there, I want you to think of all the acting jobs you've booked in your career, all the projects you've been a part of, and you hold those memories close when you're feeling down, because you're gonna have more. More are coming, my friends. And that is a wrap. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Take care. Be safe. Happy Memorial Day.